Hello everyone, welcome back to the United Stand for a tour interview special. We're here at the NRG, sorry, I got it wrong there for a minute. But yeah, we've just been told the team news for Manchester United against Real Madrid, but we're not talking about that now. We're going to get into some other topics that you want to get the nitty gritty of. I'm here with Paul Hirst from the Times. Paul, cheers for coming on and talking to us, mate.
No problem, my pleasure.
Football fanatics, get ready. The United Stand pre-season tour is here, powered by One Football, the ultimate app for live scores, transfers and match stats. Download now. No one gets you closer.
So far, tour, it's been a whirlwind, hasn't it, really? You've been pretty much here, there, everywhere. You've been impressed with where we've been stadium-wise, and obviously here today, it's quite impressive.
Oh, yeah, I mean, these American stadiums are fantastic, aren't they? You know, that Snapdragon Stadium that we went to last night, only been built a couple of years, 35,000, brand new stadium, you know, open air. It's very, very impressive. You know, all the facilities, you know, for big teams like United and Real Madrid, you can see why they're coming here, or why they prefer coming here, say, to kind of, you know, Far East, China, etc. So, yeah, everything that United could want is here. You know, the training bases for Ten Hag are being brilliant. They're being remote, so the players haven't been bothered that much by fans. I know they like to, you know, to deal with fans, to sign autographs, etc. But you know, the primary focus here is football, isn't it? So he's been able to keep him away from everyone else, and including us as well.
That's it. Yeah, it's been lockdown, hasn't it? Really?
Yeah, and then just kind of just keeping concentrating on football, and that's
it. You can tell, like, because obviously last summer it wasn't Ten Hag's tour. He'd come into the club where the tour was organised. Now it does feel different. It feels like he's got his grip on Manchester United right now, and he is making decisions, big decisions. Obviously, I want to get into some of the transfer stuff. We're hearing the reports about West Ham coming in for Scott McTominay. Have we got any extra updates on where that's actually at? Is that genuine? Because we're hearing Sky talking about it. Have you got any more insight into that?
I think basically the United will be very reluctant to let him go. I think it would take a lot of money. Like, we're talking between 40 and 50 million for United to get rid of him. I think he's, out of the three, between him, Van der Beek and Fred, I think McTominay is the most kind of valuable one in Ten Hag's eyes. So I think they're looking to keep hold of him. But you know, if 50 million offer comes in, then they've got to consider it. I'm not sure whether West Ham will go that high, and they're looking at other targets as well. So yeah, I think it's a case of watch this space really. But you know, it's that's the kind of money that they want to be raising for players. You know, United have sold so many fringe players over the years for next to nothing really, for really small fees. Not excluding this summer. So, you know, if they can get something like 40-50 million for McTominay, similar for, you know, maybe 20-30 for Henderson, 20-30 for Maguire, then all of a sudden you've got, you know, nearly £100 million in your pocket to go and spend. And you know, they need a striker, don't they? And they're not cheap, are they? So
that's it. Yeah, you just mentioned two names there who are hot on the press as well right now in terms of Harry Maguire, Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson first. We were hearing, I think there was another rumour came out today regarding Dean Henderson possibly being on loan with an obligation to buy. Just what is it with United and not being able to get money for what are decent players? Because Henderson was a full international goalkeeper.
Yeah.
How are we not making this happen? Are we just too soft in the transfer market? And is there any more update? Is there anything genuine in that?
I think it's a combination of things when it comes to selling players. It's, you know, the fact it's really hard for a player to leave Man United, isn't it? You know, when you think about it, it's the pinnacle of your career. Do you really want to be seen as that guy who leaves Man United? The wages are a factor as well. You know, Dean Henderson will be on, I imagine, upwards of £100,000 a week. So it's not every Premier League team can afford that. Certainly not any, not every foreign team can afford that as well, apart from the really kind of high spenders. So that's the trouble when it comes to moving these kind of players on. United pay, you know, we saw it with Phil Jones in the past, they pay the price for extending players' contracts and not protecting the asset, but the asset's actually not worth that much. Henderson's a different case, obviously, because he's younger and he's an England international, as you say. So they should be getting decent money for him as well. But you know, the proof will be in the pudding, won't it?
That's it.
United have said that we've got to get better at selling players, but now we have to see that in action.
That's it, and that is another it leads us into another area with Harry Maguire. Obviously, again, West Ham link. Like we say, it's perfect for David Moyes. A perfect type of centre back. He's here on tour with the team, as we've seen. He's not going to be a first team starter. In this situation, Ten Hag has made the captain's call already, giving that to Bruno and stripping him of the captaincy. Do you feel like United have to be a bit more assertive in this now and say, look, you are not going to play, it's time? Can United do any more?
I don't think they can. I think, the writing on the wall for him, isn't it, from Maguire? And
that comes into what you said, though. It's like hard for a player to leave, isn't it?
It is. It's hard, and I think, to be fair to him, he's behaved reasonably well, very well.
You can't argue
throughout this whole thing, because it must be demeaning him, wouldn't it? It must feel really really bad to have that captaincy stripped from you. And it's interesting that he's brought Johnny Evans along into the first team squad now for the rest of the tour. The under-21's going home, but he's staying, and Joe Hugill as well. So it's sort of a chance for Johnny to kind of prove to Ten Hag that he could be that fourth man. And if he does become the fourth man, the fourth centre half, then it's another. It's a nail in the coffin. It's more bad news for Maguire, isn't it? Yeah, and I wouldn't. You can't really do anything else, can you? I guess it just comes down to a question of whether Maguire wants to swallow his pride and say, look, right, I need to get out of here. If I'm, his England place is on the line, isn't it?
Southgate's come out and said that now he needs to be playing.
Yeah, so I think he's got away with it for a year or so, like not playing. But I don't think that can carry on for much longer. If you look at the guy from Brighton, Levi Colwill, Gareth Southgate likes him quite a lot. So he's a good centre half, left-footed centre half. So you could imagine him coming through and playing left-hand side, and then John Stones is the right-sided centre half. So that provides you with balance and pace, which Maguire's not blessed with. So it's crunch time for him, really. And part of you really wants him to get that move and then do really well and kind of prove a lot of people wrong, because he's had a lot of stick, hasn't he? And there is a player in there. I never thought he was worth 85 million, whatever it was that United paid for him. But he's not suddenly. He's not a terrible player, is he?
Was there anything in United actually paying out the rest of his contract? Was that genuine in terms of paying it out to make it easier for a club to come in and negotiate a sort of contract for him personally?
Well, I think certainly in the past they've subsidised the wages of players who've left on loan, haven't they?
Yeah.
You look at Lukaku, that was a prime example of what happened with him. They paid a bit of his wages during his loan spell at Inter, so maybe that's a course of action that United could take. I think Maguire's got 2 years left on his contract, hasn't he? So I would imagine that would be an option that they're thinking about. From Maguire's point of view, I would imagine, and I'm not speaking on his behalf here, but if I was in his position, I would say, you've given me, this contract, so you should honour it.
And his representatives will be talking exactly the same way, won't they?
Yeah, so it's I think we're at a bit of an impasse at the moment. And I think the longer it drags on, the more it gets worse for everyone. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, that is it. I mean, you look at it and you're going now in terms of the outgoings and people talking that they have to happen for the incomings. Ten Hag was in the press conference with us. We were both there the other day. He said there's progress on the striker. We know that striker is Højlund.
Yeah.
We know verbally they are talking to Atalanta now. But the one I want to get your opinion on is the Sofian Amrabat one from Fiorentina, the midfield area, because Sabitzer has now gone back, obviously.
Yeah.
It looks like Fred or Donny, maybe both are leaving. Yeah. We were short in that area anyway. Do you feel like United have, for instance, a fourth signing after a striker? Would that be that midfield? Is that where we need it? And is that Amrabat genuine, that talk?
I think they were looking at Amrabat certainly when they start looking at midfielders. They do this thing in United where they have 3 or 4 players. What's to strengthen a position? The club will start talking to 3 or 4 players. Get these 3 or 4 players play it spinning, as it were, and then they obviously rank them in order and pick one. So go for your top one. If that doesn't happen, go second, third, fourth, etc. And certainly Amrabat was one that was on one of the plates that was spinning. So I think that certainly if you lose Fred, McTominay and Van der Beek, you probably want to sign another midfielder, and they would. I think they probably would he'd be sort of in their thoughts, because unless he's going to put so much kind of so much faith in Manu, which I think he probably needed another player in there. But yeah. Erik's obviously got that experience, but the second half of last season he fell away a little bit, and that's no fault of his own. I don't think he expected to play so many games last season, so his legs were a little bit tired at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to go back to something you said in terms of when United are selling players. It does look from our experience of being in and around the media and the press, we've seen a lot of John Murtough on this tour. He's just been talking to the media again personally to them now. It does look like the club are making that effort. Have you seen a difference in how they've approached transfers and how, I mean, even with just Ten Hag and the new setup that they've got now, it does seem like they are moving in the right direction. They're trying to deal with a lot of negativity and bad from yesteryear, it would seem. They have got a structure of sorts. Do you feel like that is the case, or is it still struggling like we have before?
Yeah, I think certainly from having covered this club for about 10 years now, only in the post-Fergie era, I've seen many examples of bad recruitment, and there certainly seems to be a lot more of a clear structure here, a lot more, more organisation, and sort of a clear pathway of what, manager says he wants this player, and then they go out and scout the player, come up with a sort of short list of, 10 players, whittle it down to 3 or 4, and then start.
I mean, an example of that, just to get your opinion on them, there was big issues and big question marks over certain things going into this summer. The David De Gea saga, the Marcus Rashford contract, and then obviously getting in his number one targets. I feel like they hit a lot of the key areas quite quickly this summer, and is that a sign that things are looking a little bit different and they are trying to get their act together more, because they were big issues?
Yeah, and I think they did very well to get Mount. We knew that Liverpool and Arsenal were interested in him, and they thought they thought they were going to get him, but they didn't. United acted really quickly, got that one done. Onana, you can't underestimate the role that Ten Hag played in that one either. He was desperate to get him. And it was a deal that worked for all three parties. Inter had to sell, United wanted him, and he wanted to leave Inter. But the initial negotiations weren't that straightforward. But Ten Hag played quite a big role in sort of getting that one over the line, working with John Murtough as well. So, I think they've done better this season. It's not like a mad trolley dash on the the final day of the window. No one wants to see that, do they? Wow. Just thinking back to last year when they had one through the door, didn't they? Tyrell Malacia, who was like a very talented player, but certainly an up and coming one. And then, but like this year, you've got 2 players out here on tour getting to know the new teammates who are established internationals and who will be like key parts of this team. So
they come straight in, don't they?
Yeah,
that's the difference. And it's like players that are going to instantly improve the first team was key, wasn't it? And both of them, Onana and Mount, were first choice for Ten Hag. I think that's a definite. Can we say that safely? He did want them 2 above anyone else?
Yeah, I'd probably put Bellingham above Mount, but that's
everyone would.
That is that's another massive step up, isn't it? If you tried Jude Bellingham, they would have they spent pretty much most of their budget on it, but that wasn't the issue, was it? It's Real Madrid, or once upon a time Real Madrid or Man United is a real kind of 50-50 decision, but now it's just not that way at all, is it? So but Mount's a great signing. Onana, they looked at him last summer when Ten Hag came in, but I just think he didn't want to create that much disruption and not churn as many players as he did. He don't want to do more, getting 5, 6, 7 new faces in. That just would have been too much. So I think he thought, I'll stick with De Gea for another year, and now he's gone for the guy that he trusts. And I was at that Champions League final. I just thought Onana was a class apart, really. He was certainly, until the latter stages of the game, he was the best keeper on the pitch. And I've seen some footage of him, playing in Serie A, and he looks very comfortable on the ball. And we just have to wait and see whether that's possible, when they're playing Liverpool or Arsenal or Man City. Because
the high press comes in.
You're just going to have players tearing at you just in the way that they wouldn't have done in Serie A. So it's a big challenge for him.
That's it. I'm not going to bore you or ask questions about the ownership, mate. I don't think anyone knows what's going on, but I'm just going to ask your opinion right now, personal opinion from what's happened. Can you see it actually happening is the question I want to ask, Paul. I mean, can you see it happening at all right now? Because that's what all United fans are asking.
Well, I generally, it's difficult to guess, isn't it? I mean, you look at the whole scenario for me, and it's just terrible, isn't it? How it's all been handled. I remember when it first broke, we were in Qatar at the World Cup, and then it was being said around, from people who knew what was going on, that it'd be done by Easter. So you've got that clear line there where the keys are handed over to the new guys, whoever they may be. They're in. They work with the manager, and then pick targets and set a budget, and everything's kind of would have been set up for a proper another go this summer. But instead, you've got this situation where no one really knows what's going on outside a very small number of people. And certainly towards the end of last season, from what I heard, Ten Hag was a bit miffed about a lack of communication that was coming from the board about the status of the takeover. Because you see a lot of new owners come in and want to appoint a new manager. I can't imagine for a second that any new owner coming in who knows what they're on about will get rid of Ten Hag because he's doing a brilliant job at United. But that'll still be in the back of his mind, and he's still thinking, well, will I work with a new football director? Will I have to work with a new football director? Will I have to work with a new chief exec, new scouting systems, etc.? So it's that uncertainty that I think is really. It's a little bit of a shadow, cast a little bit of a shadow over the club this summer, and again, the quicker they can get it resolved one way or the other, the better.
That's it. I mean, we could go on forever. We'll change it up and we'll do some more in the studio when we get back off the tour. But Paul, thanks for giving us your time before the game. I know you're busy, you got to get your work done now and everything like that. But guys, like, share and subscribe to the United Stand, and give Paul Hirst a follow for all the updates on everything going on with Man United. What was your Twitter tag again, Paul?
It's at Hirst Class.
And Paul is all over. He's
very sad.
Hey, we all like to do that on Twitter, don't we? But yeah, Paul, absolute brilliant. Thanks for coming on and talking to us, mate. Guys, thanks for tuning in and watching another bit of extra content here while we're on tour. We try and bring you everything that we possibly can. A little bit more insight into what's going on behind the scenes at United, and obviously stay tuned for everything else that's coming on this tour. Cheers, everybody, and we'll see you after the game tonight.